other thing that I found amazing was that that sculpture sits right above Man and Matter, which was the very first piece of Expo '88 that was unveiled, and those large metal men down the bottom of...
Very athletic.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think there are any females in amongst it. I haven't been able to find any. And only recently I sort of dawned upon me that they were actually probably all men, but it's absolutely fantastic. And the setting of it, with the backdrop of the ferries going past constantly, and the rowboats and everything else, it's a really great piece to celebrate, you know, the memory of World Expo '88. And then the other piece that is quite close by in the Expo '88 trail is a piece called The Rock by a fellow called Stephen Kelly. And one could almost do a PhD thesis on this particular piece. And it's a very interesting story.
I don't know at all.
In Burke Park, you know, the Story Bridge.
I know Story Bridge.
Yeah.
My parents took me in the pram as a little baby across that bridge when the day it was opened for the public.
That's the southern end,
Yeah.
and it just sits right next to it in the park. And for many years, it had no provenance on it. You wouldn't know who actually did it, but it is actually from World Expo '88. He is primarily a Sydney artist, Stephen Kelly, and as you can tell by the figurines on it, he likes to work in comic book type characters, and that's the reason why you could actually do a PhD thesis on it, because there are about 40 scenes on it, and it was all, each and every one is a social commentary by him in the 1980s. And you could look at it, and I've interviewed him, or John McGregor interviewed him, and he's like a closed book. You try to give an interpretation of it, and he just looks at you, and he just smiles, and you think, am I right or wrong? Or, you know, really interesting. The funny story about that is, he spent 6 months building the mould for it. The cement truck turns up, it's 35 tonnes of concrete. The cement truck turns up, it's pouring the concrete in, it gets about halfway up, and he says, when are you going to put the colour red in? Because it was out the front of the Australian pavilion, and it's called The Rock. It's meant to be like Uluru, meant to be red. And the concrete driver said, mate, they don't know the colour going into it. And so he just saw 6 months of his work disappear. And they then, well, no, it was just a la naturel. But at the end of Expo '88, he was so disillusioned with the piece, they asked him, what do you want to do done with the piece? Because they all had it on like commission basis. They were paid for the work, but they still owned it, and then it was
purchased or not.
Well, yes. And his response to the Expo Authority was, well, like you can bulldoze it into the bloody river.
But they didn't.
No, luckily they didn't. It is a wonderful piece, and it's a wonderful piece to our streetscape.